Welcome back to my little channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about the shooting in Jersey City. There were some disturbing things that I would prefer to talk about. Obviously, Jersey City is, as I know, part of New York, and they have very strict gun laws. They didn't protect the people from the criminals. But there's something worse. In the beginning, about the whole Jersey shooting thing, we got a lot of information. But there was one thing that was very clearly missing. Nobody talked about who the shooters were. The victims were Jews. Which is a terrible thing, don't get me wrong. Any victim is a victim. And whether it were Jewish victims or Muslim victims or Christian victims, I don't care. They're victims. They shouldn't be victims. But there was no information in the beginning about the perpetrators. And that gave rise to a few very interesting things. Well, interesting in so much that it happened and I don't understand why it happened. What do I mean? Well, if we look at this one, the news was pretty fresh. And Rashida Tlaib was already sure that it was white supremacists attacking a kosher market in Jersey City. I haven't seen the original tweet from Tlaib. It's not as if I follow her. But someone bookmarked it or saved it. People on Twitch did. And this is something I made a tweet about not too long ago. It's amazing. Whenever there is a violent action, let it be a terrorist attack or a mass shooting incident, which often is basically the same thing. If the perpetrator is a white man, you are sure to be told within the first few minutes of it happening. If the perpetrators are anything but a white man, you get a lot of vague information. Vague enough for people like Tlaib to basically claim they were white people that done the shooting. Turns out it weren't, but I mean, she was perfectly alright to pretend that they were, until news came out that they were two black Americans, a man and a woman, who were part of the black Hebrew Israelites. So yeah, there was anti-Semitism at play, definitely. But once again, it weren't white people to blame. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of time when white people are to blame. But lately, it seems that when we have a terror attack or a mass shooting, it's assumed that it's white people. And as soon as we learn it wasn't a white person, the news doesn't last very long. I really think that we have a problem when it comes to how we deal with shit like this. Had they been white, would I defend them? No, of course not. Had they been black, do I defend them? No, of course not. Had they been anything out there, would I defend them? No, because terrorism, mass shooting, violence is not something I'm going to say, oh yeah, well, good for you. But what makes it that the media in the West is quick to point out when they can prove it is a white person? And as soon as they can't get away with the story that it's a white person, the story nearly dies instantly, and they try to ignore the fact that they were indeed other than white. Now, obviously, throughout the years, we've seen a lot of examples like this. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that noticed this. I'm pretty sure everyone notices this. Why do I think this is a problem? Why does this scare me? Because it creates an us versus them mentality. I'm pretty sure that there are plenty of black people that do not identify with David Anderson and Francine Graham, and they too feel that the victims of the shooting are indeed victims, and the perpetrators are bastards. You don't have to be white to think that. You don't have to be Jewish to be thinking that. There are plenty of black people who will agree with you on that too. Just like there are Muslims that have problems with terrorists that commit atrocious acts in name of the faith they are also a part of. Are all Muslims to blame? No. In case of such a thing, they are not. Are all black people to blame in the case of the latest shooting? No, obviously they are not. Then why is it whenever a white person does something, it's always seen as a greater conspiracy? Maybe I'm hyperbolic. Maybe this is how it comes over on me. Maybe this is me reading into it too much. This is very possible. I have to admit, though, that this is something that seems to be pushed by, well, in America, politicians. I mean, white supremacy kills Rashida Tlaib? How white are these supremacists? I agree that they're supremacists, by the way. The Black Hebrew Israelites are definitely a supremacy group. But how white are they? And the people that were killed are serious victims. This is indeed something we should address. Now, if the news goes out and they don't know anything about the perpetrators, for whatever reasons, you know what? Fair enough. If you're not there, you don't know. I can understand that. But how come every single time when the perpetrator turns out not to be white, the story dies pretty fast? There are plenty of white shooters that should have perhaps been given more attention. Sure, this is true for all shooters. Though the way the attention works is difficult, because you don't want to glorify the acts of the criminal minds. I don't know. I seriously, I don't know. I really think that we should ask of our politicians, at least Madam Tlaib, to stop race baiting, to stop pandering to discriminatory forces within your society. Because every time you blame a group, you create more injustice. You create more fight within society. And I can't understand why there are politicians that think that this is a good idea. I can't understand that there are politicians that actually believe that spreading hatred in this way is a positive action. I thought long and hard on how I'm going to say this, and I can't say it any better than I have. Maybe it's because I'm getting tired of this. I don't know. But why can't the news report the news? Why can't the politicians do their job? Obviously, they're going to talk about how gun control is definitely needed, but New Jersey, sorry, not New Jersey, New York, Jersey City has strong gun laws. They didn't help. They didn't stop this. Thing is, gun laws don't stop gun crime. We know this. We know this for the longest time. You have gun crime in nearly all countries. Countries with strict gun laws still have gun crime because criminals don't care about the law. It's so silly. It's too ridiculous for people to not understand this. But yeah. It's time for the media to retake their place in a responsible society. To be able to look their public in the eyes again and say, you know what? We're going to call it as it is. That doesn't mean that if a black person does something, we're afraid to tell the world that it was a black person because now everyone will start black people. Because if they're truly afraid of that, then why do they always say it's white people when it's white people? And I don't have a problem naming white people as the perpetrator if there was a white person actually being the perpetrator. No, let me rephrase that. It's not white people that's the perpetrator. If the person was a white person, you can call him a white person. Just like if the person that did it was a black person, you can call him or her a black person. This is not about groups. But the idea that we can pretend that, oh, well, if it's whites, then it's whites, and if it's any other group, because it's not only with black people, it's with any minority group, any other group, we'll ignore the story because it doesn't fit the narrative. But by doing so, you're creating more strife within your society. I'm repeating myself. This is where I'm going to call it quits. I look forward to hear what you think about this, and I hope to see you all next time.